to introduce to you a special guest who happened to be the first person on my membership site. She was a student of mine. Her name is Christine Valestad. She lives currently in Norway, a newlywed in Norway. And I want you to hear her story and how she has responded to our techniques. I want her to tell you what, how she found me, what her symptoms were. And Christine, actually, you know what? I know you're on. So is there any way you can pop your video on so people can see you talk?
Can you hear me right now?
Can totally hear you.
Okay, let's try the video. Let's see. Can you see me?
I can see you. I'm going to do something here. I'm assuming everybody can see us right now. Can you see me, just you and me on the screen?
I can see you, yeah, Dean.
All right, so everybody, this is Christine. She is live from Norway, live with the headsets, bright in the middle of the day there. What time is it there?
Yep. It is 1:35.
All right, so your high afternoon. It is 7:35 in the morning here on the east coast of the United States. I'm glad I got out of bed for this. So Christine, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your history? Take about 5 minutes, tell your history, tell your story, what you've been doing, what we've been going through, and how you're responding to it.
Okay, sure. So the first thing I'll start out with is I'm not sure how I got my issue. I was in a mountain biking accident. I fell. I definitely hurt my L4, L5, S1. Initial reaction was numbness in my legs, and I went to a chiropractor, and I was working on it. Seemed like I was somewhat doing better. I wouldn't say great, but I was getting somewhere. Randomly, I realized I had a flare-up of a sharp electric shock about 5 days before my menstrual cycle began. And prior to that, I was experiencing some butt tightness, but I was like, I've been in an accident, don't worry about it. The electrical shock has been 13 years of 5 days right before my period. What I also noticed, I had been living in a state of feeling like both feet did not hit the ground evenly all the time, having a tightness in my low back with those L4, L5, S1, which is basically my low back, feeling for 13 years like I had a bruise there almost, but nothing showed, and really not getting any quality of life at all. I knew that I could look forward to the electrical shock pain lasting 5 days, so I had trouble even working. It got to the point I tried everything from more chiropractic, shots, exploratory surgeries. I had countless MRIs that would show increasing disc degeneration, but also I started hearing from doctors that the technology across 13 years was getting better. So to compare an MRI from 13 years ago to today, you're going to see a lot more. And they always said, well, nothing physically shows on the tests. You have had the accident. It shows that you have a disc issue, but when we do different tests, it's showing that it's not related to whatever you're describing. No one understood why I would have the electrical shock. They started saying maybe it's an emotional reaction to something. I mean, I was on medications that were so strong. One of the drugs was Lyrica. It made me look 9 months pregnant within 3 days. Then they put me on a water pill. It was endless. So finally, I'd moved recently to Norway, and I had no access to medical care when I first moved here as an American citizen. I had to wait for my paperwork. So now I had no access to drugs. I had no access to getting to a massage therapist and things that I had used to compensate or hold me over. I had tried a number of different stretches, read a number of different books, and gotten temporary relief, never really solved it. One day I went on Facebook because I'm a member of a lot of different Facebook groups for things I like. So I just looked up sciatica, and it was basically a self-diagnosis because I didn't fit any of the usual symptoms, especially having only the electrical shock flare up right before my menstrual cycle. And when my cycle would hit, I would be okay again. And then it would start the tightening up again until I got to that shock. So when I found I got on a Facebook group actually that recommended, not Dean's group, a different one, that I remove my entire piriformis muscle. And I spoke to a doctor there. He said I really wouldn't find anyone in Norway that would remove the muscle. He was out in Vegas. He was the only one that would do it. And it really made me feel a little bit foolish coming to Norway when I could have gotten maybe relief from removing the muscle. But when I spoke to people, they were like, wait a second, you kind of need that muscle in your butt, don't you? But then the pain was so severe, I thought I had to do it. I went and joined every other sciatic group I could find. I think I found about 3, maybe. One of them was Dean's, and he talked about stretching. And I said, this guy's crazy, because I have stretched every which way. I stretch 2 hours a day, even. I make it my life to stretch because I'm trying to fix it, and it's never got me anywhere. I tried methods like, I think it's called Igasku. I got nowhere. I tried balancing the body. My body wouldn't balance. I said, there's got to be something else. It's definitely not PT is my answer. And he said, you know what, just try me out. I said, okay, I'm not going to try you out because I really don't have time to stretch. I'm already stretching. But he was persistent. And I said, you know what, I'm home all day right now. I'm in a new place, a little lonely in a village of 500 people. So I'll talk to this guy. So I got on with him. He showed me one stretch, and I instantly realized the difference. One side of my body was way tighter than the other. So I said, all right, at the very least, I will balance my body and do some good stretches, and I'll quit doing the other ones, which aren't really getting me anywhere anyway, just to try this out. I said, you know what, I'll try 6 months. I'm in a lot of pain. My back's getting worse and tighter since I'm sitting down a lot. I'll just go through with this program for about 6 months until I can get on my feet here in my new place. Well, I am 8 weeks in. I have 0 pain. After the first week, I had no bruise feeling on my low back. I had no stiffness in my low back. I forgot in that 1 week that I had 13 years of low back issues. I was bending and doing things, actually overdid it. I vacuumed the entire house. And then I realized I vacuumed the entire house and I can't even usually move around. So I hurt myself a little bit overdoing it because I haven't built up the muscles that I've lost from being hurt in my early 20s and now almost 40. But I was able to relieve that low back right away. Now, 8 weeks in, no nerve pain. It's time for my nerve pain. I had one cycle of it the first couple weeks. I started with Dean right after I had the electric shock pain. It subsided down like it does normally hormonally, got through it, had my symptoms for a few weeks, didn't necessarily believe fully in the program, but 8 weeks in, keep it consistent. After 13 weeks of pain, I'm walking around fine. I have minimal stiffness in my ankles now. I think some of that might be because I have not moved properly in so long, but it has changed my entire life.
Awesome, Christine. So she was having, for those of you who didn't catch what she was trying to say, she would have that severe piriformis pain and electrical shock pains for 5 days previous to her time of the month, her menstrual cycle, because of the hormonal change. And that's when the doctor, I think there was a doctor who actually told her that she would never be able to have kids unless she had that muscle removed because of the pain. And she's been in my membership site group now, which releases weekly exercises for 8 weeks. And so obviously in 8 weeks, she is on her second cycle. So the first cycle, she had the same similar type of symptoms with the electrical shock, the extreme pain in her butt. And over the last week and a half, we've been talking, we've been inboxing back and forth. I've just been checking on her because honestly, I was not expecting any change in this for several months, just because dealing with it for 13 years, I didn't realize the power of these exercises and how balancing the body out can reverse 13 years of cyclical pain within 2 cycles. So Christine, thanks for coming on.